Hello, my stressed out people. I know that all of you have been dealing with so much, especially over the past several months. A number of you reached out to me about difficulties with sleep, difficulties with anxiety, depression, your blood pressure is going up, your diabetes is out of control. Let's talk about what we can do to help all the things. Hello, Dr. Holly here. I want to talk to you about mindfulness. Could it be the answer to all the things that we've been dealing with over the past several months? Mainly, I think, in response to the stress that came with this pandemic and dealing with this pandemic and feeling like, is it ever going to end? And all the things that kind of come with that. We've talked about stress. We've talked about that stress response, how that leads to increased blood pressure, your body freeing up sugar, so increased blood sugar. That can lead to diabetes. That can lead to that weight gain around the middle, all the things that we are not pleased with when they happen. Well, the reverse of that is strengthening what we call the parasympathetic nervous system, or the relaxation response, if you want to get a little more simple with it. And that can actually happen with things like mindfulness. So when I talk about mindfulness, let's talk about what that is first. That is choosing to pay attention to the present moment, whatever that moment may be, again, intentionally. And then trying not to have judgment when we try to do this and ultimately fail initially and have to keep trying to return our focus to whatever we decided the point of focus would be, whether it be our breath or a favorite song or just the activity that we're doing in the moment, because you really can practice mindfulness anywhere. Oftentimes when people hear mindfulness, they think Buddha on the mountaintop, like that's just not something I can do. It's not realistic in my day-to-day life. Maybe some of the practices aren't. There are those traditional practices of focusing on the breath or having some loving kindness and focusing on those intentions. But there's other ways of practicing mindfulness. Folks with pain may find that practicing a body scan where you allow the energy to draw your focus to whatever part of your body and allow that part of the body to be fully felt and fully acknowledged, and then progressing to other parts. There is some evidence showing that doing that can actually decrease your perception of pain. There's also mindful movement, like just walking. I've taken you guys out on walks. We should do that again soon because the weather is getting nicer. But mindfully walking and just being present to what is around you, whatever it may be. This is a great break if you are at work right now and just needing to get out and get into nature. Take a 5-minute walk. It doesn't even have to be that long. 20 minutes is ideal to get that stress hormone down, but really any time outside is better than none. Also, a mindful movement could be a yoga or a Tai Chi, which you guys know I love because it's super accessible, and super warrior stance, which I love my warriors. Other mindful movements, though, can really just be what you're doing day to day. Things like mindful eating, just eating when you're having your lunch today or dinner, just eating and not putting on the TV, not listening to that podcast, not answering all the emails like we like to do sometimes when we're multitasking. Because really, what are we getting done when we're multitasking? We're not digesting very well because we're getting our stresses up. And we're really not taking advantage of something that we have to do, which is eat, and using that to help exercise our brain and build that brain power and build that cognition by focusing on just eating. Really just taking your attention to the food in front of you, letting yourself actually taste it, letting yourself actually experience each bite and the changes in taste that happen with that. Letting yourself use all your senses, so feeling your food, smelling your food, seeing what it looks like, seeing what it maybe sounds like while you're chewing it, or if you want to squeak it by your ear. All of those things are ways of practicing mindfulness. So really, you can be mindful when you're brushing your teeth in the morning just by only brushing your teeth. And when your mind wanders to what you're going to do later in the day, bringing the attention back to the teeth that you're brushing, and to the mintiness or whatever flavor of the toothpaste you're using, And all of those things together, that's an exercise in mindfulness. So why am I like harping on mindfulness, right? Like, why am I being so annoying? Because there are all these health benefits. I've alluded to a few of them, but let me get a little more specific. So when you are doing this mindfulness practice, your brain is going into a type of wave pattern that allows for healing. We've looked at what happens in your blood, and the metabolites and breakdown products of toxins within your brain are actually kind of put out. They put out the trash when you're doing things like mindfulness. It lets your brain do that. We've also noticed that the brain will form new pathways. We call it neuroplasticity. So something intentional like mindfulness, that brain exercise, will allow your brain to form new pathways, and by doing that increases cognition, or improves cognition, I should say, improves your mood, improves things like anxiety and things like PTSD. So all the things that folks come talk to me about, mindfulness can actually be a great tool to help them. Sleep is another thing. Folks will oftentimes tell me, I'm trying to this mindfulness thing, doc, but I keep falling asleep. Maybe because you're tired. Maybe you should be falling asleep. Maybe that's your body's way of taking care of itself. That's okay. Take advantage of that. Maybe start your practice in the evening to help you sleep if you're having problems with insomnia, like we've talked about, or add it in the morning to help you start your day and be refocused. There's different ways of doing it. So when it comes to other health issues, it lowers your blood pressure. I mentioned that relaxation response. So things like hypertension, things like heart disease, all of those things have been found with studies to be improved with a mindfulness practice. Diabetes. Now, diabetes is when your blood sugar is high and maybe your body doesn't see the insulin that it needs to lower that blood sugar. Well, mindfulness has been found to lower what we call the hemoglobin A1C, which is that measurement we do as docs when we're seeing how well you've been doing with your diabetes control. Adding a mindfulness practice to just your regular diabetes control that you've learned from your docs and nurses can actually help you lower that hemoglobin A1C over time. So that's something to consider for sure. Pain perception has been found to be decreased. Folks who practice mindfulness over a period of time actually have those parts of the brain lowered, like their perception of pain. We can see on these functional MRIs, it's actually decreased. So that is super great and wonderful, and something to definitely consider these days when we have our aches and pains. Other things is our immune system is strengthened. We see in our folks who have HIV that their CD4 counts are improved. That's those T cells that are helpful and that are attacked with HIV. This is really good to know, because things like COVID and the Delta variant of COVID are also working on our immune system and building that immune system so that it attacks the viruses and the colds and all the things that we're now kind of encountering because maybe we're not masking as much. Building that immune system is going to be a good thing. Building up the cognition that I mentioned through building new pathways, also great. All the things. Quality of life has been found to be improved with folks with cognitive disorders, but also folks with things like cancer. Bringing mindfulness into maybe your chemotherapy appointment or into your radiotherapy appointment, whatever it may be, that scary place, bringing it there is going to help you be in a better space. So it's going to be an easier experience for you, but also help you in the long run with your quality of life. So again, if any of this resonates with you and you want to know more and figure out how you can put all this into your life, please reach out. Sign up for a discovery call with me. Just reach out on my website, darawellnessnola.com. We can talk about it. We can schedule you for a session, evaluate you head to toe, and talk about how you can incorporate more of this type of practice into your day-to-day life. Whether it be mindfulness or prayer, all of those things are super good and going to have all these healthy, wonderful benefits for you. So I'm going to leave you with a quick exercise of 4-7-8 breathing. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, exhale for a count of 8. Try that just 4 rounds, and that, I promise you, is going to help you decrease that stress level and get you into a space where you can do whatever's coming next. So try that, and I'm sending love. Take care, guys.